According to the government's draft First Nations Voice Bill 2022, there appears to be no requirement for the state First Nations voice to address Parliament, nor are they required to produce an annual report. As outlined in this proposal, the government intends to establish a secretariat for the local and state First Nations voices, with provision for an unknown amount of resourcing in order to carry out its functions. The draft bill makes pains to stipulate that neither the local or state First Nations voices are agencies or instrumentalities of the Crown, and as such will not be considered public sector agencies under the Public Sector Act 2009. That Act requires each public sector agency to present a report on the agency's operations to the agency's minister annually. An annual report must be, and I quote, accurate, comprehensive, deal with all significant issues affecting the agency, and is written and presented in a manner that aids ready comprehension. My questions to the Aboriginal Affairs Minister are: 1. Why has the government chosen to exempt local and First Nation voices from the requirement under the Public Sector Act? And 2. Why is the government not imposing a requirement on the state First Nations voice to either deliver an annual report or to address the Parliament? And if a state First Nations voice determines not to provide an annual report or address Parliament, how will the voice be accountable to Parliament and the people for appropriating taxpayers' money to carry out its functions?
The Minister for Aboriginal Affairs.
Thank you, sir. I thank the honourable member for her question. I'm pleased to let the honourable member know that I think the honourable member is referring to a draft bill. In fact, the final bill is now public. The final bill will be introduced here on Thursday, and I'm sure when the honourable member reads the final bill, she will have all her questions answered.
Mr. President, I would like to raise a point of order. The Attorney-General, in answering my question earlier on why the elected First Nations voice will not be producing annual reports or address Parliament or not required to, answered that I was working off a draft bill and that the final bill is now public. But my staff have rechecked the Attorney's website and the Your Say website, and it's only the draft legislation that's available. And I'd just like to clarify where it is public, because I'm concerned with being misled.
Are you finished?
Yes.
It's not necessarily. I don't think it's necessarily a point of order. However, Attorney could give you the opportunity to give some clarity.
Provide the honourable member an answer. I suspect the answer is to the Honourable Sarah Game in your inbox after your staff requested it earlier today.
Mr. President, I seek leave to make a personal explanation.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. At 3:01 p.m. today in question time, I asked the Attorney-General a question about the accountability of the elected First Nation voice because I was concerned that, according to the draft bill, the elected First Nation voice was not required to make representations to Parliament or annual reports. And I note, through re-looking at the video footage, that at 3:03 p.m. the Attorney-General replied that I was not looking at the most recent bill, and that, in fact, an advanced bill was now public. And the Attorney-General later stated I should, in fact, check my inbox when I queried where it was public. And I can confirm that I have checked my inbox, and that at 3:20 p.m, about 17 minutes after the Attorney-General informed the chamber that the bill was public, one of my staffers did, in fact, receive the advanced bill. Although I will note that the Your Say website and the Attorney-General website were not updated with the advanced bill, and I don't consider my staff's email as public.